Okay, so in today's session, we'll be discussing about principle of virtual work. So let me first state the principle of virtual work. It is basically the work done during, according to the statement of principle of virtual work, the work done during a virtual displacement. I will explain what virtual displacement is. I'm just giving the statement over here. I'm just writing the statement over here. The work done during a virtual displacement from the equilibrium. So here we are mentioning the static equilibrium. From the equilibrium is equal to 0. So this is the statement for the principle of virtual work. So mathematically, how can you represent this statement? The work done, so I'm just writing the work done. Normally the work done is represented by W during a virtual displacement. I will explain what virtual displacement is. From the equilibrium. From the equilibrium is basically the static equilibrium. We are mentioning about the static equilibrium is equal to 0. Okay, so we have got work, and the virtual displacement or the terms that are created during the virtual displacement will be equal to 0. Okay, that is what the statement is. The work done during a virtual displacement. I will represent the virtual displacement terms over here. From the equilibrium position is equal to 0. So this is the statement. Okay, I will fill the statement later. As we proceed on, I will fill the statement. Okay, so coming back to our slider crank mechanism. Okay, so before starting the slider crank mechanism, I just need to give you an insight of what the principle of virtual work is and what is the advantage of using the principle of virtual work. So from the term virtual work, you can understand that what is virtual work? Virtual work is basically any unreal work, or you can say it as imaginary work. It's basically imaginary work. So it's basically imaginary work. Fine. So why do you need an imaginary work over here? So why do you actually need a bluffing over here? So why we are considering this imaginary work is mainly to identify the velocity. Okay, you will understand why we are considering the velocity as we proceed further. Okay, so basically the principle of virtual work is nothing but imaginary work, and we are using this imaginary work to identify the velocity of that system, of that mechanism. Okay, so coming back, we are considering a slider crank mechanism over here. Okay, I'm just naming the slider crank mechanism OAB. Okay, so this is a slider crank mechanism, and as obviously you know, this is the fixed link, and this is basically your crank, that is your second link, and you've got the connecting rod, that's the third link, and your piston, that's your fourth link. So everything is same as the previous way in which we solved the problem, but the only difference is here we are considering a virtual work as being done. Okay, so how can you consider a virtual work to be done? So in order to a virtual work to be done, we should have a virtual displacement, or I can put it in another word. We know what work is. What is work? How can you define work? Work is something that when a force is applied to create a displacement. So that's basically work. So what is work? Work is nothing but a force. When a force is applied to create a displacement, that can be termed as a work. So obviously you can find a force over here. What is this F? F is basically the gas force or the piston force, and this piston force, this force is acting on the piston. That is why we call it as a piston force. So whenever the force has been applied onto the piston, what happens to the piston? According to the definition of work, a work has been done over here. That is basically this piston moves from its equilibrium position to another position. Okay, to the new position. And I am considering that position as an imaginary position. Okay, so that's basically your imaginary position. That is why I have represented that imaginary position with dotted lines. Okay, so you can see the imaginary position over here, and obviously there will be a displacement. Okay, and I'm presenting the displacement as delta x. Okay, so what is delta x? Delta x is basically the displacement. It is the displacement at piston due to F. Okay, displacement at piston due to F. So that is your first displacement. So obviously if this piston moves, the correspondingly the entire system or the entire mechanism also moves along with it. So what happens over here is this connecting rod, that is basically your link 3, will also move, and correspondingly link 2, that is your crank, will also move. Okay, so what happens is this is what will be happening in this case. Okay, so whenever it moves, this kind of a movement happens. Okay, so this is your piston, and this imaginary line represents your link 3, and this imaginary line represents your link 2. Kindly note that this is just an imaginary position of this mechanism. We are not considering this as the final position or an intermediate position, but this is just a imaginary position of this mechanism. So at this imaginary position, you are getting a deflection delta x at this point at link 4, and obviously you will be having another deflection over here, and that deflection I am terming it as delta theta. So what is delta theta? Delta theta is basically the displacement at crank. It is the displacement at crank due to what is the force acting over here. Okay, you can just say that the force acting over here is obviously what was this? F3 acting on 2, and you had a counter force over here. It was basically F1 acting on 2. Okay, so then what was this F12 and F32? These two simultaneously, or these two togetherly, formed a couple, and in order to counter this couple, we had a torque over here. I think you all remember from the previous class, you apply a torque over here. And what does this torque represent? I'm just mentioning it, I'm just revising it for you. Torque is nothing but F32 into H. Okay, F32 into H. Fine. So what you can say over here is delta theta is basically the displacement at crank due to the torque. Okay, I'm writing it as the delta theta is the displacement at the crank due to this torque T. Okay, so that is basically what is happening over here. So continuing on, so what if you're considering this kind of a mechanism, if you're considering this kind of a slider crank mechanism, what are the forces that are acting on this slider crank mechanism? First one, I will give you the first force. The first force is obviously the gas force acting over here, that is basically the piston force, and that is nothing but F. So which is the next force? Can you identify the next force acting on this mechanism? Yeah, well obviously you have a torque over here, and torque it also provides a motion. So that's why you are representing the torque over here, external torque, that's basically T. Okay, you got force F and you got torque T. Next one, force on bearings. That is an important point. And while I was asking you the questions, I was mentioning about this force on bearings. So each of these points will be having bearings, and each of these bearings will be having a force acting on them. Okay. Okay, and apart from this, is there any other force that are acting on this system? Well, yes, there is another one, that is basically the reaction force. And you can see that reaction force when there is contact with the cylinder and the piston, and that is basically the reaction force or the normal reaction force. You can call it any way, no problem. Okay, so these are the most prominent forces that you can identify from this mechanism. Okay. So in this forces, among these forces, which are the forces that are actually creating a work? Which of these forces are actually creating a work? So you know the definition of work. Work is nothing but a force which is applied to create a displacement. So from these forces, which of them is creating a displacement? Obviously, it is force F and torque T. Force on bearings is not creating a work over here, and the reaction force is not creating a work over here. So we are not considering these two forces. We are only considering force F and torque T. So these are the two forces that are to be considered. Okay. So I'm just writing down those forces F and T. Okay. Force and torque. So force is acting at the input, that's basically your piston, and the torque is acting at your output, that's basically your crank. Vice versa, it can happen vice versa, no problem, because you're applying this torque externally and this force is also applied externally. That is due to the gas pressure over there. Okay, I'm not just confusing it, I'm giving you an idea of it. Okay, so then you can see the force and the torque, and we were talking about the work done, right? We were talking about the work done. So the work done, so first I'm considering F over here, the work done by force F. How can you represent the work done by force F? You can represent that by force, that is basically the F, into displacement. You're defining work over here, F into displacement. What is the displacement you got over here? It is delta X. Next one is work done by the torque T. The work done by torque T. What is the definition for work? Force applied to create a displacement. Here the force is the torque over here, and the displacement created is delta theta. Okay, this is your first and this is your second equation. Okay, so then I was talking about the definition or the statement of the principle of virtual work, and the mathematical representation of the principle of virtual work was work done, the work done during a virtual displacement from the equilibrium is equal to 0. So we need to find this term over here. Okay, so whatever this term is it will always be related to the virtual displacement. So the two terms that are related to the virtual displacement are F delta X and T delta theta. Okay, so when you're considering the principle of virtual work, in this case, that is in the case of a slider crank mechanism, this will be your mathematical representation. When it comes to a 4-bar mechanism, this may change. Okay, and if you're considering any other mechanism, this may change. But when you're considering specifically a slider crank mechanism, the mathematical representation of principle of virtual work will be W is equal to F into delta X plus T into delta theta is equal to 0. So that is basically the principle of virtual work. We are not yet done yet. We have got F delta X. Okay, so let us consider this work. Consider this work done during time period delta t. Okay, so consider this work, that is this imaginary work or virtual work done during time delta t. What happens? Why are we introducing this kind of a term delta t over here? It is quite interesting to know that we have got two terms, F delta X and T delta theta. So what happens if this F delta X is happening per unit time and this T delta theta is happening per unit time? Okay, so what will happen over there? What will happen in that case? Delta X by delta T. What is delta X by delta T? What is delta X? It is basically the linear displacement. And what is delta T? Change in time. So change in displacement with respect to change in time is basically your velocity. So I am rewriting it. It is basically F into V. And what about this term? t, delta theta is nothing but angular displacement or change in angular displacement divided by or per unit time. Change in angular displacement with respect to change in time gives you, what does it give you? It gives you angular velocity. Okay, so you represent angular velocity by omega t into omega. Okay, so I am rewriting this equation over here. W is equal to f into v plus t into omega is equal to 0. Okay, so this is how you mathematically represent a virtual work that is being done in this slider crank mechanism. Okay, so that is about slider crank mechanism and its virtual work. So we are further solving this. Because we are solving this equation further because we need the value for t, that is basically external torque. In the previous problem also, or in the previous case also, we were solving for this t. Why do we need this t? We need this t to bring the system to equilibrium. We need to identify the value of t which brings the system is basically the slider crank, to equilibrium. That is our idea. So we are finding t, or with respect to t, we are changing this equation with respect to t, and what happens is we change this equation and it becomes f by omega into v. So this is how you find t. Is it done? Are we done over here? No, we are not done over here. Why is that so? Because you know t. What is t over here? T is acting in the opposite direction. Okay, so you need a negative over here. Why? Because there are I missed out 2 points. I'm just writing the 2 points over here. Okay, I'm just writing the 2 points over here. First thing is we have studied this thing in our lower classes, work. Okay, work is having, we can differentiate, or we can distinguish work into 2 types: positive work and negative work. Okay, we can classify work into 2 types: positive work and negative work. So how can you identify a positive work? Okay, so for example, consider this piston over here. You're applying a force in this direction. Okay, you're applying the force in -x direction. Okay, you're applying a force over here in this direction. So the imaginary displacement, or you call it as virtual displacement, happens in the same direction. That is, the work done, or the work done here is in the direction of the, or what do you say, the force applied. So the work done here is in the direction of the force applied. That is why we call it as positive force or positive work. Then what is negative work? Negative work is what is happening over here. You can see a displacement in this direction. So you can see this displacement, right? Delta theta displacement. It is happening in this direction, but the t is acting in the opposite direction. Okay, so that is called as negative displacement or negative work. So what is positive work and negative work? Positive work is a work in which the work direction is same to that of the force direction, and in the case of a negative work, what happens is the displacement direction is opposite to that of the force direction, or vice versa. You can call it in both ways. So that's basically how you define positive work and negative work. So here what happens is, you have got t is equal to f by omega into v, but we need a negative over here in order to bring the system to equilibrium. If it's positive, if this thing is positive, what happens? It means that t is also acting in this opposite direction. That will not bring the system to equilibrium. Okay, we need to bring this system to static equilibrium. That is why we are changing this positive to negative. Okay, that is quite important, and that is the reason why we are having a negative in this term. So that is how a principle of virtual work can be explained. So now let us look into a problem we have previously done, and how we can reconstruct that problem with the help of principle of virtual work. So this is basically a problem that we discussed in the previous class, I'm just showing this as an example. You can look into the textbook for more examples and for more problems related to this virtual work. So first of all, what is the purpose of virtual work? So when we are solving or when we are balancing the problems, or when you are balancing a mechanism for force, static balancing, what happened is we used to take each element. Like we used to take each link over here. First we consider the piston. So first we consider the piston and we consider all the forces that are acting on it. And with that force we connected to another link, that is basically the third link, that is the connecting rod. And from there we went to the crank where the torque and couple was acting. And this is how you completed the problem. And you created a force polygon over there. And with that force, with the help of that force polygon, you created you found out the values for different f values, and finally you found out the torque value. So that was done in the previous method. So when it comes to virtual work, what happens is we don't need this kind of a force polygon over here. We are using velocity diagram. Okay, so we are using velocity diagram, and more importantly, we are finding the velocity diagram for the entire system. We are finding the velocity diagram for the entire system or for the entire mechanism. So that is the importance. Of virtual work. So in virtual work, you're finding the velocity diagram for the entire mechanism, and you don't need force polygons. Okay. So what happens here is you don't have to find the velocity diagram of each of these links. You can find it for the entire system. Okay, so that is why we are introducing virtual work. So it is you can quite relate virtual work. So I'm just going back, I'm just rewinding the topic, revising the topic. So virtual work, we were talking about virtual work, and in order to get a virtual work, what did we do? We created a virtual displacement. Okay, virtual displacement. And now is the most important and most fun part, that is basically virtual displacement with respect to time. With respect to time gives us the virtual velocity. Okay, and so this velocity will in turn help us to draw the velocity diagram. So without further ado, let us get into the velocity diagram of this slider crank mechanism. Okay, so let us draw the velocity diagram for this slider crank mechanism. So first, I think you might be having a slight idea of what velocity diagram is. From the previous semester, we discussed this topic in mechanics of machinery. We drew many velocity diagram as well as acceleration diagram. So you have an idea of what a velocity diagram is and how to draw a velocity diagram. So first of all, in order to find the velocity at point A, we don't find the velocity of a fixed point. That is, you don't have to find the velocity of a fixed point. So you're finding the velocity at point A or at A. So velocity of A with respect to obviously O, with respect to O. So what is the velocity? Velocity of A with respect to O. You know how to represent velocity, right? Velocity is represented by the radius into omega. I hope all of you remember this equation. Velocity is nothing but the radius of the link into omega. Omega is nothing but the angular velocity. Okay, so we have got VAO and nothing but R. What is R? R is basically OA. That is radius OA into omega. Okay. So what do you have radius over here? I am assuming OA to be 250 millimeter. Okay, this is just an assumption. I'm just giving you an example. You can look into the textbook for further problems and questions. OA is 250 and I'm giving AB as 450 millimeter and OB as 600 millimeter. Okay, This is just a rough figure, just to give an idea of what velocity diagram is and how to use virtual work to solve this mechanism. Okay, so finally you got the radius, and the radius is basically 250 mm. Okay, so velocity, I'm converting this 250 mm into meter, and that is basically 0.25 into omega. Okay, so you got your first velocity over here. So let us get into the velocity diagram. Okay, so I'm drawing the velocity diagram over here. We are drawing the velocity diagram for the entire mechanism, not just for a single link. Okay, so first velocity is basically 0.25 omega. So one thing you should specifically note, or you should specifically observe, is that a proper scaling is to be done. So if I'm taking 1 unit, that is basically 1 centimeter on your scale, you should properly scale it. Okay, you should properly scale this 0.25 omega. Okay, you can just leave that omega as itself, no problem in it. So you're taking 1 unit as I'm taking it as 0.1 omega. Okay, so 1 unit, that is 1 centimeter on your scale, will give you 0.1 omega. So your got over here is basically 0.25 omega, that is like 2.5 centimeter on your scale. Okay, 2.25 centimeter on your scale. Okay, so you can just take that. This is just a rough reading, I'm repeating it myself. This is just a rough measurement. You can just to just give you an idea of how this virtual work and the velocity diagram system is working. So first of all, you got the velocity 0.25 omega, and note here 1 unit is not just 0.1, it is 0.1 omega, because you got omega over here and you don't know the value of omega over there. So that is why you're considering 0.1 omega as 1 unit. Okay, and you know the velocity magnitude, then what will be the direction of velocity of OA or AO, whatever it may be. So this is your OA, and when we are drawing a force polygon, if a force is acting, it will be acting in line to it. But when you're considering the velocity of that link, it should be perpendicular to this link. That is quite important. When drawing the velocity diagram, don't just confuse yourself. You will be drawing this magnitude perpendicular to OA. So I'm just taking it perpendicular. I am just taking it the perpendicular direction. Okay. So I'm taking it in the perpendicular direction and I'm drawing it. Okay. So this is basically my OA. And don't use capital letter in velocity diagram. When you're drawing a velocity diagram, don't use capital letters. So this is your OA, and properly scale it. I'm just drawing a rough figure. Properly scale it. Okay. So thereby you are getting your OA. Okay, you are getting your OA, and that is basically VA, or you can just call it as VAO or just VA itself. Okay, fine. So this is drawn perpendicular to OA. So what is the next one? You got AB. Okay, you don't know the magnitude of AB. So what happens is you just draw a line perpendicular to it into both sides. Okay, I'm drawing it both sides because I don't know the magnitude of this velocity VAB. I don't know the velocity. I don't know the magnitude of it. But rather I know I also don't know the direction, but I know it is perpendicular to the link AB. So I am extending it to both sides. Okay, and similarly OB, I'm considering OB. Here also I don't know the magnitude of the velocity of VOB, but I am drawing it in line. So note over here, you should be drawing it in line with OB because you're having a slider over here. If this was not a slider and this was just a normal link over here, you should be considering it perpendicular. But as you've got a slider over here, it should be acting in line with this link. Okay, it should be in line with the piston or with the slider. Okay, so what happens is I'm extending here. Here also I'm extending it to both sides in line with this. So basically I'm taking here in line with both these things, and at one point they will be meeting, and that will obviously be your B. Okay, so that gives you B. Fine. So this is basically your VAB, and this is basically your VOB. Okay, so you can just measure these values with your scale and this value. So that values will give you VAB and VOB. Okay, so VAB is nothing but as per the calculations, as per my calculations, it is basically 0.26 0.036 omega, and VOB is 0.198 omega. Okay, this is how you find the velocities, the different velocities. Okay, so with a single velocity diagram, you were able to identify the entire velocity of this mechanism. Okay, so that is quite significant. You don't have to draw separate links, link force diagram, free body diagram and all. You don't have to do that. You can just draw a simple velocity diagram, and with that velocity diagram, you can find the value of t. Okay, so now is the most important part and the most fun part over here. Now you're applying the principle of virtual work. So just recollect the principle of virtual work that was discussed earlier. So what was principle of virtual work? The principle of virtual work is W is equal to T into delta theta plus F into delta X is equal to 0. That is nothing but the forces acting should be equal to 0. Okay, so here, which are the forces that are acting over here? Obviously, you have got a T over here. Okay, you got a T over here into delta theta. This is the most tricky part. Delta theta with respect to time is nothing but your velocity. It was nothing but your angular velocity. I am representing that angular velocity over here. And when you're considering this principle of virtual work, you should also note that two things. You should note two things. That is basically positive work and negative work. Okay, so that is quite important. Here you should be writing it as negative work. Why is that so? Because you are creating the torque in the opposite direction in which the displacement is being created. So that is why you're having a negative over here, and obviously the other one will be positive, F into delta X. And delta X, how can you differentiate, how can you identify delta X? Delta X by delta T is nothing but velocity. Okay, so delta X will be converted into the velocity, and that velocity is basically, which is that velocity? That velocity is this velocity OB, this one. Why is that so? Because you know from that figure, from the previous figure, we created an imaginary displacement, and that was along OB. So this is basically your displacement, right? So this is your displacement X, and this is your displacement X, right? This is your displacement X. So that displacement X is basically this displacement, that is the velocity OB. So I'm writing that velocity over here, F into 0.0198 omega is equal to 0. Okay, fine. So I'm just rearranging it. It is nothing but F value. We know the F value, that is 8,000 into 0.198 omega. I'm taking this term into the opposite RHS, and that gives you T into omega. Okay, you can just cancel out that omega, and you will get the T value as 1680.8 Newton. Okay, so thereby you get the T value. The omega value gets cancelled out. So with further solving, you will get the final T value. Okay, so with a simple velocity diagram, you were able to replace all the different force polygons that had to be drawn for each of these links. That is the most important thing. Okay, you don't have to draw a force polygon for each of these links. You don't have to draw a free body diagram for each of these links. You just have to draw a velocity diagram for the entire mechanism. So in the case of a cytochronic mechanism, this is how you do it. This is the way in which a principle of virtual work happens. So if a force is acting on this one, in the previous question you had a force acting on here, on this point, that was P 2000 Newton, something like that. That P force should also be added to this principle of virtual work. Okay, that is also important. That P value should also be added onto this principle of virtual work when you're solving it. That's quite simple, nothing complicated. So this is how you can solve a problem with the help of principle of virtual work. So I think this method is quite easier than the previous one we discussed. Just go through this problem, and if you find any doubt, you can just ask to me, no problem in it. And if you need any clarifications, you can just ask me for the clarifications. Okay, thank you.